Hello, everybody. With the local authority elections just basically a few days away at this stage, it's insane. Just the way I'm laughing, it's just insane to think that we're already in June the 7th. It's crazy that we already half the year gone. But anyway, time waits for no one. So there's a good bit to discuss. It's going to be long anyway. It's going to be a good while. It's going to be held to probably edit this a bit, but we see how we see how we get on with it. But so obviously there's three municipal authorities. There's 36 candidates in total going for the whole three municipal authorities in Cavan, which is about Hubbard, Cavan, about Hubbard area. Municipal authorities, the right word to say. Cotillo Bay, about municipal authority, and Ballyjim Duff, municipal authorities. So there's three areas. With 26 candidates again, good few people. I thought there'd be more. There's more going for the European Parliament, but anyway, the European Parliament is a different story for a different day. So we start with this area. So I was planning to go as a councillor for this area. Or well, not a councillor, but one for the council, I suppose is the right way to describe it. And obviously, just before I go on, the biggest topic in the country is immigration. We do need to tackle it. So you do need to vote for people who are going to be tough on immigration. And who are going to speak out against immigration, who's going to deal with this immigration. Obviously the council, just to say too, you don't have much power, you have collective power, but you don't have much individual power, etc, etc. So, and obviously first of all, before I go any further, no offence to any council or into that, or to an individual. I'm not attacking as an individual, I'm attacking on the records or whatever, as a councillor, etc, etc. I'm not attacking them as an individual. And again, at the end of the day, just before I go on and say anything else, it is a tough thing to go for elections, etc, etc. So you do have to give people credit for that, to put their name out there. It's a tough thing. I know myself when I was going to go. It's not an easy task, let's put it that way. So first of all, I just want to give my who I'd be voting for basically in this area, in the Cavan in my area here, which includes Buttersbridge, Cavan Town, Belturbet, Ballyconnor, Black Lions roundabout up that, all that up the west side of Cavan. And the first person I'd be given number one straight away, and the person I'd be given number one to, is Brendan Fay, the local councillor here in Belturbet. Now you probably know Brendan, he's already a councillor, as I say. Since 2009, he was the first independent councillor elected since 2004, which is a long time ago. But what I'm trying to say is we need to keep Brendan Fay in the council. We do need him. We still need to keep him. He's a good councillor. He's done a lot. He's done a lot for this area, in Buttersbridge, Belturbet. He's done a lot for them areas. Obviously being the local councillor there, he's done a lot for me too in terms of many issues, etc, etc, and he's been very good. He's always addressed them, he's always done his best with them. Again, as a councillor, you can't change the world, you can only do what you can basically, because again, as particularly as an independent, I know myself, when I was going to go, you can only do what you can. You don't have much power, you have a voice, etc, etc. You try and use that voice to the best of your ability. At the end of the day, you do your best, and that's what Brendan Fay is doing. He's doing his best in everybody that goes to him. And I just want to say he's a good councillor, he's a good person. He's done his best for this area. And again, just to mention too, about immigration too, Castle Saunderson down the road there, it's another perfect example. People wanted to put people in there from Timbuktu, etc, etc. And the people the people around that area were like, we're not having it, etc, etc. And the only person that I heard that stood up, and the people down there, a few people I know, told me it was Brendan Fay, said, utterly no, we shouldn't have it, because again, it's used for recreation or use people going for walks, children, etc, etc, and it's inappropriate for people to be thrown in there, young men, etc, etc, to be totally honest, because that's who would be, let's put it that way. It's inappropriate for it to be used because again, it's a recreational area, etc. It's a scout sector. It's inappropriate, and it's truly inappropriate. So thankfully that never came to fruition. But just to say, it was Brendan Fay, not many of the other councillors I heard speak out about it, and say that this is not on, that the local community didn't want it. And again, at the end of the day, this is the thing that all the councillors need to understand. To every councillor that's won, at the end of the day, the people are the people. The people are the boss of you, basically. The people that say what they want. And again, at the end of the day, you can't force people to have hundreds of people turn up in the middle of the night and throw them into some place. At the end of the day, the people of your constituency, they're the people who have the say. They have the final say. If hundreds of people are going to turn up in the middle of the night, obviously that's not acceptable. And people don't want it. So was that. So that's just to say to every councillor. That's the main thing you're going to get at the doorstep. That they don't want 100 people turning up in the middle of the night. And so it shouldn't be. But just to say, that's my view on it. You should vote Brendan Fay number one, who I'd be voting for in the Cavan Belturbet area. And I do suggest people do vote, because we do need an independent voice. And I do admire people that's independent, because again, you're on your own, you have your own policies, etc, etc. You're not, say, for example, the Green Party, which would be bullied if you had a different view on immigration compared to the mainstream Green Party. you would be told to shut up and sit down and say nothing. It's the same with Sinn Féin, same with Fianna Fáil. A lot of these councillors, again, I know from talking to a few of them and knowing their personal views, etc., are very distant with the mainstream political party, like the hierarchy of the political party. They're very disorganised, I suppose, and very disapproving, basically. But they're afraid, again, the main thing is they're too afraid to speak out and to be counted. They're too afraid to stand up and lose their seat in the party, being kicked out of the party, etc., And I say at the end of the day, just to say to these councils, etc., the most important thing is the people. It doesn't matter about Fianna Fáil, it doesn't matter about Fianna Gael, it's the people, whatever the people want. And if you're being silenced, etc., the best thing to do is stand up and be counted. Again, just an honourable mention too, because again, I have to give credit where credit's due. Annie Smith, Fianna Fáil, again, and I know a lot of people maybe have a sour taste of Fianna Fáil at the moment. But obviously her father done great work, and again, Sean Smith, he was a very good councillor, he was a good man, he served this county for 43 years in the council. God rest his soul. But Annie Smith's very good, she's helping me out with a lot of issues. I went to her about a few things too, and she's done her best in terms of them issues. And still, in regards to a few issues I have in the moment, she's doing her best with what I'm working with her and different things. And again, she's a nice person, she's doing her best. And I have to say, out of the whole Fianna Fáil in this area, I would say she's the best of them in this area. So I would do that's an honourable mention, to be totally honest. She's doing the best of the whole lot of them in Fianna Fáil. Now there's four other actually Fianna Fáil. John Paul Phelan, then there's Patricia Walsh, and then you have a Green Party fella, and then you have a Labour fella too, and then you have an Aintu fella, and that's really it. There's another independent too, but again, not my policies I would be too inclined to vote for, basically. But again, at the end of the day, you can look at it because there's a lot to discuss. Again, if we went into every nitty gritty of every policy that they want, etc., it's an awful lot of stuff. But basically, the top priority in all of Cavan is probably the same as the West, is immigration and roads. It's another big thing. Roads would be the second. In some areas, it would be the first. It's the condition of the roads in this county. So just to keep in mind, then it'll be housing, and then probably healthcare after that. Because the roads are very bad in a lot of areas, just to say so. It would be the number one thing you would need to get at the door, along with immigration. Because, immigration should try to control it, and people are sick of it and tired of it. Especially, again, mention people being brought in the middle of the night, etc., there's a lot to be discussed. I know probably it was a far-right extremist, etc., but, at the end of the day, it can't go on forever. It has to be put a stop to sooner rather than later. So we'll go into the Gotil Bayabo. So this is comprised of Gotil, Bayabo, Kingscourt, them big areas. Now there's a good few Sinn Féin and Fianna Fáil, obviously the same in the west of the county. So first of all, who I'd be voting if I was in this area, who I would vote for, and who I suggest you should vote for. And obviously that's Councillor Sarah O'Reilly Aintu. I know people may be a bit sour with Aintu at the moment, and I do agree in the mainstream, like Aintu itself as a political party should have a tough immigration, but Sarah O'Reilly is very tough on immigration. I spoke out a lot in the council chamber about it. It's called for some common sense to be, because again the common sense has gone out the window. It's long gone out the window, let's put it that way. And obviously she topped the poll the last election, local authority election. She is a good person. I went through her many times about different things. I'll explain in a second about one particular incident. I explain now in a second, but she's a good person. She's very with the people. You wouldn't know really she's a council unless you knew her. She's very down to earth. That's the word I would describe. Very down to earth, very modest. A few of the councils I won't mention names, but other councillors, they're high and mighty, But Sarah O'Reilly is, it's very down to earth person, and is speaking some common sense, and that's what you need. You need people that can speak common sense, and that is not afraid to stand up and be out, and obviously being pro-life too. It's a plus too. And so I do suggest giving Councillor Sarah O'Reilly a number one vote. And again, just when I'm here, because again I could talk about all the councillors for months and months and months. I could be here for an hour or two. So just going back to my point, Councillor Sarah O'Reilly again. I remember this is last year. I remember, if people remember, probably in Ballyhaise too, particularly that's whole area in Gotil Bayabo. Just Ballyhaise is on the cusp of the Gotil Bayabo area. It was to do with the dog bins, and I'm sure she probably remembers this too. But I contacted that. There was a Wednesday evening. It was about 6 o'clock or so. I contacted her. I think through Facebook. Yeah, it was through Facebook. And I contacted her about the bins because for a good few months the council were saying they're going to put dog bins there at free of cost. Obviously, people could take dog bags, put the dog drop-ins into the bin free of cost. So basically, they had no excuse for not picking them up, etc., because it's a big issue in Ballyhaise. It probably need to be the top issue in some McGowan's in Ballyhaise in that bar, because it was dreadful, and I had to go down a few times to pick it up myself, etc., etc., because it was that bad, to go and help out people in that area. But anyway, long story short, Sarah Wiley, I contacted them about the bins because people in Ballyhaise asked me to look into it, and obviously I've been stonewalled at every opportunity, basically, because they wouldn't give me answers, etc., etc., and what's happening with the bins. They're gone to Mexico or something. But long story short, I contacted Sarah Wiley about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. Straight away, within probably 10 minutes, I got saying she rang them straight away in the morning and find out. And long behold, in the next morning, that Thursday morning, long behold, it wasn't even 10 o'clock. I got word back saying that they're going to be done by the end of the weekend. So they were. By the end of the week, they were literally up. And again, Sarah Wiley put the huge push on them to move themselves on, etc., etc. And I do have to give her credit, because every time I contacted her, along with many other people, many people have said this too, within a few hours, they got word back. And that's what you need as a council. You need somebody, because again, oftentimes I had to ring councils about different things in this area and stuff like that, and I'd be waiting months for an answer. Sometimes I never got an answer. So at least it's a good sign in the person. It shows that they care. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It shows that they care. They care about the person, and that they care about the issue they've raised. That they're not just throwing it to one side and trying to forget about it, and they're not trying to acknowledge that, and that's a good thing, and that's what we need as a council. And she's a really, really good person, I have to say. I can't speak highly enough of her. And there's no doubt in my mind she's going to top the poll. She's done it before, she's going to do it again. So there's no doubt in my mind that she will get in. It's how much over the majority than last time. She's going to top it by probably nearly 2,000 extra this time. Oh, maybe more, but it'd be great to see if she tops it a bit more, because again, Fianna Fáil will not be very happy. They weren't happy in the last election that that a candidate from Maine to top Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael in the polls. They weren't too pleased with that, but it's good. It's good to see. Let's put it that way. Now, obviously, there's some Sinn Féin and there's Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, the usual carry on. So there's two candidates about the briefing, the independents. There's two independents. So I started with one, Fiona McGurk. I hope I'm saying her last name right, but. So obviously from Cotillo, and obviously the main thing in that area too, just to discuss, is the problem in Cotillo. You remember the wet provision, the White Horse take for example, was supposed to be used as the wet provision centre, and obviously that's the biggest issue in that area anyway. It's immigration, because again the White Horse was supposed to be used for weeks and weeks. I'm sure people remember. People were protesting, begging for the council's people to listen to them and say that they don't want them in their town, etc., etc. The White Horse, again, it's a shame that never was done up and done into a nice hotel again. It used to be a hotel back in the day, but again was left abandoned for years. And for it to be used by the government now to put in loads of, again, it would be probably all young men, and that's to be totally honest, because that's what we'll see across the country. It's not for women and children. They'll be all just young men fired in the middle of the night. Again, the all majority locals didn't want, and again, Cotillo particularly, just to speak, is a dying town. I remember going to when I was young. I used to go to the toy shop on the main street. There was a few nice cafes, beautiful places, great people running them, etc. Great exceptional Irish business. Again, the toy shop too in Cotillo, great place, marvellous. Bring your child to it, it's great. I'm a big child. If I went to it now, if I went to Cotillo now, I would have to go back into the toy shop just to look around. And I did last time. I was there 2 years ago and I looked around it. A big child, basically. That's what I mean. But no, it's a great toy shop. It really reminds me of when I was young, when I used to go over there. It was a trip to Cotillo, because my relations would be buried in the middle of the chapel in Cotillo, and it was always a trip to go into, to go and see the grave, and then go into town, get something to eat, and go into the toy shop, get a few Thomas trains or whatever it may be. But it was always a treat, and I still remember that fondly, and I remember Cotillo fondly for that. Always lovely people, great hospitality. It's nothing far right or extremist about Cotillo, let's put it that way, because that's what the media would say. And the local media too would brand these candidates as far right, etc., etc. They would call me worse, to be totally honest, but because what Tannick's Leitrim might be a bit more extreme than immigration. Anyway, speaking about immigration, etc. So Fiona McGurk would be very tough on immigration. She was part of the Cotillo group and obviously very opposed to them being thrown into the White Horse, etc., etc. And obviously she's a healthcare worker, etc., etc. So I do suggest giving her your number 2 vote. Again, as I say, immigration is the biggest topic, particularly in that area, more so really than any other part of Cavan and Cotillo, particularly because obviously that was going to happen. Then obviously Castle Saunders down the road here would be a huge issue, but obviously that's been resolved for the moment. There's never say never, unfortunately, because the morning they could just turn up. But again, I suggest vote for Fiona McGough because we can't allow that to happen. People in the Couture don't want them there, and they shouldn't be told to just accept and sit down and shut up. That's as simple as that. So we need to get Fiona McGough number 2. I do suggest, and then there's another independent, which is great to see so many independents too. It's Gary Cosgrove. Sorry, he's non-party. He's not part of any party. He's the same as he's from Ballyboat. His main issue is immigration, the same as myself if I was 1 and 2, and along with few other things would be very high up my agenda too. So I do suggest giving him your number 1 vote too, or giving you your number 3 vote, whatever way you want to walk. Again, my point is we have to get these 3 people elected to the council in that area. That's my point. So vote in whichever way you want, but I do suggest strongly voting Councillor Sarah Wiley number 1. To be told, that's the way I'm going with it. If I was there, I would vote Councillor Sarah Wiley number 1, Fiona McGough number 2, Gary Cosgrove number 3. Because again, you can give 4 second preference votes. And then again, this is the Catil Baybo area, so I do suggest voting because we do need to address immigration sooner rather than later. So we're moving now to the Ballyjimsduff constituency. Now, obviously, there's, as I said, the 36 candidates in all. So an honourable mention before I go any further is Grania McPhillips Aintu. She's a principal there in Ballyar. So obviously the Ballyjimsduff includes Ballyjimsduff, Ballyar, Virginia, etc. That area of Cavan, which is, I think, is the smallest constituency out of the 3. But anyway, long story short, I do suggest voting Grania McPhillips if you wish, an honourable mention. She seems like a good, again, I don't know much of her, but she seems like a good person. And somebody that's really going to fight for our children, and which is important too. We have to remember children, the indoctrination of our children in schools, etc., etc. It seems like somebody that's willing to stand up, etc., etc. Again, I only know a bit of her, but she seems like a good person. She's well liked in Ballyar too, which was very good to see. So I want to briefly talk about who I'd be voting for if I was in Ballyjimsduff, who I would vote. And I would say vote the Irish Freedom Party number 1, which is Kieran Goggins in the Ballyjimsduff area. He's from Ballyjimsduff. Now, I suggest voting the Irish Freedom Party because, again, immigration is the biggest topic. And there's a few places in that area, in Ballyjimsduff, in different parts of that area, that has taken in loads of people from Timbuktu, etc., etc. And it's a huge issue, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Because, again, immigration and house and healthcare go hand in hand. And we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, that it is hand in hand, because people who get sick, they have to go to doctors, etc., and it's putting pressure already on services that are already stretched to the breaking point. Like same with housing, eventually these people that turn up from Timbuktu will want to buy a house or rent a house, etc., etc., and there won't be houses because there's barely enough people for the people who are here at the moment, let alone the people that are coming. So it's ludicrous policy, and it can only end in disaster. Now, it is ending in disaster right across the country. So we need common sense, and we need to elect Kieran Goggins number 1 in the Ballyjimsduff area for the Irish Freedom Party. Just again, if you wish not to, it's your opinion. Whoever you want to vote for, you can vote for. But that's just my suggestion. Who I would vote for if I was in that area. So the next person is in the Irish People's Party, which is a relatively new party, but really the same as the Irish Freedom Party, with certain exceptions. Again, we're not going to all the policies. There's a few different policies, but again, it's just too much to go through to try and go through every policy, etc. But I do suggest having a look, because the Anglo South, in fairness, have put up a good bit of information about each candidate. And ask them in fairness, some actually tough questions in regards to some things. So Lester Gordon is the Irish People's Party's representative in that area. So I do suggest giving him your number 1 vote, because immigration would be top of his agenda too, to be totally honest, along with a few other things too. And obviously farming too, him being a farmer too, would be another thing that he's very on top of. So I do suggest voting him number 2 if you're living in the Ballyjimsduff area or Ballyar, etc., etc. Next person I would suggest is an independent Ireland. It's a relatively new thing too. Independent. There's independent and there's like a party independent Ireland, and that's Shane O'Reilly. Probably heard of Shane O'Reilly before. He used to be in Fianna Fáil for years, and he got basically he doesn't agree with them anymore. He thinks Fianna Fáil has changed. It's not really the party you used to be. Let's put it that way. So I do suggest voting Shane O'Reilly. Again, it's a big thing for somebody to stand up and say, I don't agree with the party, I'm leaving it. And for somebody like Shane O'Reilly, long time in Fianna Fáil, etc., etc. You really have to take notice of that, I suppose. So I do suggest voting number 3, Shane O'Reilly, to be totally honest. So that's the way I would vote. So them 3 candidates. Now, again, there's a lot to go through. If you wish to vote for Sinn Féin or Fianna Fáil, it's entirely up to you. But again, these are the people I would vote for, and who I think you should vote for. So yeah, let me know what you think. And again, I know it's a lot. I could go on for this video. Could literally be 16 hours long if I went on, because I could literally talk in detail about each candidate, and then talk about the sitting councils, etc., the successes, the failures, etc. But literally, I'll be here to Christmas. But long story short, the people I mentioned are the best you could get. And again, the honourable mentions to Gráinne McPhillips and Annie Smith too. They're good people. And again, I know I don't take up for Fianna Fáil that much, but again, I will say when somebody's done good work and has done their best. I will mention when somebody does it, and she has. And even though she's only there a year, she's proven that she's very capable and very good in engaging with people. Especially because again, she's a teacher. People that are teachers are good at engaging with people and talking to people. But anyway, long story short, thank you very much for watching. Again, this is just suggestions, so I just say Brendan Fay about Tubal Cavan area, and then the Cotilby about Sarah Wiley, Fiona Maguire, Fiona McGurk, Gary Cosgrove, so I can get mixed up with myself, and Barry Jim Stuff, Kieran Goggins, the Irish Freedom Party, Golden Leicester, Irish People's Party, Shane P. Wiley, Independent Ireland. If you would vote them three candidates, even consider giving them, even one of them, your vote, number one vote. I would appreciate it, especially Brendan Fay being in this area. Again, as somebody that was going as an independent, I would want to see an independent get re-elected. So please, if you are in this area, do consider that particularly. Thank you, because it's very important that we do elect the right people. Because again, even though you don't have much power, councillors, you still have a say. You have a voice, and particularly with what's going on at the moment, the mainstream political parties unfortunately have let us down. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, the Green Party, the Labour Party, they all have let us down time and time again, and there need to be sent a message that there's other alternatives, again, independents, people that don't can change, have their own policies and not be bullied, etc., into again, people may have this screens into, but again, there is some good candidates. To say Sarah Wiley is a good candidate for into, and we need new people, we need new parties. And so yeah, let me know what you think, subscribe for more, and bye.